again to this course, Fixed Wing Glide Design. So today we will try to understand and we will try to find the famous question, how an aircraft fly, how a bird fly. So basically, if you see in the right side in this picture, here a free body diagram of an aircraft. It has, I have drawn this free body diagram. What are the different forces acting in this plane? So basically, there are four forces. So first one is, this is what called thrust. The second one is drag force. You please try to remember this. Force, lift force, this is again force, gravity force. Yes, what are all these forces? Basically, there are four forces: lift, thrust, gravity and drag. So what are the lift force? Basically, the aerodynamic force. You please try to remember this terminology, aerodynamic force, which is produced by the streamlined body. Also here one word has, you have to remember this streamlined body, which is called airfoil, in the perpendicular direction of the air. Perpendicular direction of the air velocity, which is responsible for the body to fly in the air. So basically, suppose this is my aircraft and it has some velocities. It has some velocity like this. So perpendicular to this is nothing but the lift, and here if this is perpendicular, then this is the velocity. So the perpendicular force which is acting on this aircraft, which is responsible for the generation of this lift force and which is responsible for the aircraft to fly. Basically, what is drag? Basically, the aerodynamic resistive force. See, in this direction, suppose this aircraft moves in this direction, so because of the exposure of this aircraft, it will resist basically to moving forward. So in which direction the force will be acting? In this direction. This is nothing but the drag. This is the resistive force. Okay. Now the gravity force, basically the gravitational pull by the earth, and it is equal to the product of mass and the gravitational acceleration g. It is downward force due to the weight of the plane. Suppose my mass of the plane m and the gravitational acceleration in g, so the weight will be m into g, Newton basically. Okay, now the thrust force is the force which is responsible to move the aircraft or air vehicle into forward direction, in this direction. So some force will be acting to move this aircraft to go forward. So it can be aerodynamic or propulsive by means of some propulsion, like in rockets. So in rocket kind of aircraft or air vehicle, we have also we have also learned this rocket propulsion based aircraft in the previous lectures. So that kind of forces can be considered for this thrust and propeller kind of thing. See here in this aircraft, it has propeller, yes, like this, which is again produces aerodynamic force, and that force will be in this direction. So basically, there are four forces: lift, drag, gravity force and then thrust. Okay, now we will try to learn what is aerodynamics. So if you see the aerodynamics, study of the forces. Please pay attention here. The study of the forces produced by the air on a streamlined body. Streamlined body, for now, this kind of body. This kind of body. So, this is your flow pattern. If this is your body, so this kind of body, it is called a streamlined body. In the further lectures, we will try to learn what are the streamlined body and bluff body. In other way, it is study of movement of air and other gases. Aerodynamics includes the study of the interaction of air with moving objects such as airplanes, birds, kites, parachute and etc. or etc. basically. So, this is nothing but the interaction of air with a moving object. How your object will interact with the air, what it does in the course of interaction basically. If you see, this is one CFD simulation picture. Here this is the air flow basically. So, it goes like this, air flow will be like this. So, because of this air flow, some forces will be generated. So, suppose this is your car and this is the nose of the car. So, this kind of nose it has. So, here you can pay attention here. If the nose is like this, so flow will be very near to the surface, like all the flow, air flow, it is attached with the surface of the upper surface of the car basically. So, it produces some forces basically. Here in the right side you can see these are the aerodynamic, this is also a CFD simulated picture. Here all the pressures, air pressure, you can see these are the air pressure areas, these are the vortices. So, in the next slide we will try to find out what are the how these forces comes into picture. If you see this is a car. So, can you please tell me why these kind of spoilers are there in this kind of car? Right now, you can see this spoiler, it has shape like this. This is nothing but the streamlined body shape, you can see. So, basically spoiler generates negative lift. See, this is your velocity, just now I have told you. See, this is your velocity. So, if this is your body, so in the perpendicular direction, suppose it has some angle like this some angle, I mean to say this is your spoiler and it has tilted like this, and this is your this is your front view. Your spoiler is like that. So, the velocity will be like this, and one component of this force will be in this direction. So, basically this is nothing but the negative lift. So, what it does, this kind of sports car, it has very high velocity. If it goes with a very high velocity, so there are chances because of this shape of the car, it may have some lift force in this direction. Before this spoiler, it may have this kind of lift in the upward direction, which may affect the force, the frictional force basically, because of this wheel may get reduced. So, there are high chance of accident may occur. So, what is the solution for this problem? We need to stick this tire to the road, we need to apply force into this direction, right. So, this kind of spoiler, the main reason of this kind of spoiler, it has to produce negative lift. So, it will balance out this generated lift in this direction. Okay. So, now we will see the condition for flying. So, what are the different conditions for flying? So, condition to fly an aircraft when an aircraft takes off. So, these are the following conditions to be met. What are the different conditions? Yes, thrust must be greater than drag. Thrust see, this is your aircraft and this is your propeller. So, thrust and in this direction drag. So, T must be greater than D. This is your first condition. So, that this aircraft will move forward. Okay. Lift must be greater than gravity force. So, in this direction lift is there and in this direction the gravitational force W. So, the second condition tells us lift must be greater than its weight. So, that much amount of lift force must be generated to make this aircraft fly or to make this aircraft airborne. So, these two conditions must be met. So, when an aircraft remain in the airborne and it maintain its level. So, these are the following conditions to be met. That means, your aircraft, it has climbed to a particular height and it has to maintain this height, right, this height with constant velocity. It should have constant velocity and a constant height. This is nothing but the cruising phase. That is nothing but the cruising phase. So, in this phase, these are the conditions must be met. Thrust must be greater than drag. Thrust must be greater than or equal to drag, basically equal to drag. Okay. Lift must be equal to its weight. So, lift must be equal to its weight. So, in that condition the height will be maintained and T is equal to drag. That means there is no extra forces in this direction. So, velocity will be maintained. So, that acceleration is 0. So, velocity will be constant. Okay. When an aircraft descends, these are the following conditions to be met. So, in this region, this is your descent region. So, gravity must be greater than lift. So, here the weight must be greater than lift. So, slowly or gradually we need to slow the aircraft. So, by slowing the aircraft, automatically your weight will be greater than its lift. So, that the height will be reduced gradually. Drag has to overcome the thrust to slow the aircraft. Yes. So, drag value, because the velocity is very high. So, to reduce this velocity, we need to have greater drag. So, by some mean we need to increase the drag. So, the velocity of the aircraft will come down. Okay. So, basically these are the concept of flying, how an aircraft fly. Basically, I hope all of you might have enjoyed. So, see you in the next lecture. Tata, bye bye, take care, happy learning.